sad music. Sad. Alright, still been fiddling around with my layout a little bit, so I'm just gonna check my angles and stuff. You watch me typing, everyone's a big fan of that. New day, it's a new notebook, new page. Got my sketching here. I hope this sideways sketching is working out okay. Try and rotate it as well to see the camera as needed. Oh, and also my sound, let me know. I think, yeah, I've been playing around with my camera angle and where everything's set up too, so should be good. Camelda says, you mean you can't sneak around chatting behind your back anymore? I mean, you can still do that. Hello, Senior Bob. Mary George SCU, hello. Robots, okay. This is, I don't know where you got those, but they're awesome. I like them and kind of scary. Hope everyone is having a great day today. Hope everyone is excited for a little bit of game design. Had a little bit of a rough start myself today. Been keeping pretty busy for the most part, maybe too busy. I keep seeing on Twitter and posting and retweeting like, hey, make sure you take some time for yourself, take some time to take a break if you need it. But I'm not super great about following that advice myself. Been continuing on with the Marie Kondo stuff. It's fun, and it's one of those things. I'm gonna adjust my camera a little bit because I'm a slightly different sitting angle today. Alright. There we go. Perfect. It's one of those things, turtles all the way down, right? You start digging into the stuff. We've been doing it now for January, February, March, April. It's about 3.5 months. Keep going through the different sections, clothes, books, etc., etc. I'm starting to do all the work stuff now, all the bits I've collected over the years for game design. That's been one of the toughest things. Bits I've collected for game design, and then prototypes, old prototypes as well. Over the weekend, didn't spend a lot of time chilling or relaxing, mostly just unearthing all these old prototypes just stuffed into corners and those little stools that you get that have the space in them. Just prototypes hidden in every nook and cranny. And it's interesting. It's something I'd like to propose to y'all as well. Some people kind of work on one project at a time, which I'm starting to believe more and more is maybe a good idea. But if you do have a bunch of projects that you're working on, kind of what I found going through all my old prototypes is that nothing's lost, right? So I made the prototypes, put them aside, came back to them, and looked and said like, oh, do I know what I was doing here? What were my next steps? Even if I don't have that, holding on to the prototype itself isn't necessarily helpful. The learning came from making the prototype, from play testing it, even just from messing around. Most of that stuff is still inside your head. As you work more in game design, just work on more projects, play test more things. Nothing is ever lost. It all kind of gathers and collects up there, and things like Sofas for Sale is one that I'm still really excited about, the theme and the mechanic that you have your meeples sit on the sofas in order to claim them, kind of like you lick something and then it's yours. And also What to Eat After the Apocalypse, just this idea that you're trying to survive, but everything that you eat is potentially deadly for you. I think it's got a dark humor to it, and also kind of relevant to our modern day life. So ideas and themes that I had the old prototypes, but I had a couple of old prototypes for some of those. And you wonder, is this something that I should hang on to? Hanging on to old prototypes. Does it spark joy? You know, that's the key core Marie Kondo question. And is there something in these bits and these components, these special labeled dice, is there anything that needs to hang around from this version of the game? With those two in particular, like those are ones that I really need to go back to the drawing board for with the new learnings. I'd made the prototype of What to Eat After the Apocalypse, for example, and had the characters moving around to different locations, finding different food, rolling dice to see if the food was edible or not, or whether you got these interesting conditions from it. But it was all just kind of functions, and I could even put a win condition on it, but it wasn't very interesting or fun. It wasn't capturing this mechanic of kind of the stress, that dark humor element to it. It's like, haha, it's funny, I rolled this and now I'm irradiated. And potentially working in some, like, what happens then? You have a bunch of people, like, they're dying over time. It actually reminded me a little bit of Don't Starve was one of the ones, because in Don't Starve, in digital games like that, you have your hunger tracker that's constantly going down, and you need to eat things to raise that back up. And some things are harmful to you and have harmful effects. So actually very similar. Capturing that detailed tracking of hunger stats and conditions. I think that was the main pitfall for that game, was just wasn't interesting in the format that I had created it. And that one was definitely my most complex prototype. The custom dice with the different sticker faces, different location cards, item cards, different food cards. I've gone through a lot of iterations with that. There's a lot of unsleeving to take apart that prototype. But yeah, for that version, there's anything that needs to be preserved is in my brain. Yeah. Senior Bob says they are BitBots. Oh, they're BitBots. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love it. Here we go. Cool. Mary George SU is now hosting. Thank you very much. Came out and says super geeked about the Discord haunted house RPG that I kept hearing, that I heard about today. What? Picked it up on itch.io. And I'm going to see about getting a session together during playtimes. Nice, that sounds super fun. I'd love to hear more about that. Yeah, keep me posted about sessions and stuff. So yeah, going through prototypes, going through old bits and stuff. I collected so many boards. So I collect things from old board games. Shoot, I actually realize, wonder if it'll show up on my camera here, because I moved it all to the closet. So let me see if I can get a nice view on it. You can kind of see, you can see it a little bit. So I have all my components in here, but I used to have way more of them, and the kinds of things that I would keep from old board games that I took apart that were no longer functional. Stuff like the boards, hex tiles, square tiles, the meeples, cubes, and definitely got to the point where I had a lot of those things. And I think if you're reusing components from existing games, I think one of the things you have to keep in mind is what is the history of those components? How strongly do they hold on to what they were in the past? So for some cubes are more recognizable than others, but for the most part, it's a red cube. It's hard to tell exactly what kind of game it comes from. It's a red meeple. Some meeples have certain shapes, but a lot of them, unless they're stickered in a certain way or have a certain setup, it's hard to say exactly what game they came from. But for a board with all the different scoring, all the UI on there, the text, the spaces for where cards go, I've tried reusing boards to develop new games, pasting stickers or pages on top of an existing board. And I don't know, kind of the ghosts of games past were a little tricky to get out of my head. So what I ended up doing, and I know it can be a cost-saving thing too, which is definitely something to consider, but I ended up just getting a pack of brown cardboard sheets from Amazon. I think about like 12 inches by 12 inches. And for the games I'm working on right now, like that's about most of the space that I need, at least for the prototyping. So all these things, it's just so easy to hold on to these things, especially for work, right? Like this is my job, and so I'm holding on to this because it's gonna make new games and get paid for that, so I can hold on to as many things as I want. But it's amazing to see once you let go of a lot of that stuff, you go through a little bit of a period of adjustment and disorientation. I think that's where I am a little bit right now. Kind of upheaval of reorganizing the desk and reorganizing all my spaces, multiple passes over things, getting rid of things. That's another thing about the process. You're supposed to go put everything together and go through all at once, but I'm living a busy daily life where you need a lot of that stuff, right? And like we don't have a ton of space here, so piling everything up and just leaving it without organizing it, you just shove it all back into space. So kind of the period behind, okay, I've got rid of all this stuff. Now I need to find spaces for it. How am I going to organize all of these things? And sometimes you need to make a couple of passes over those things. So it's good. It's a lot of physical and emotional energy, but at the end, like already starting to feel an opening up, physical and mental space for new adventures and new projects. Ooh, looks like we got a link to this. This Discord has ghosts in it. Oh, that's super cool. Yeah. Thanks for linking, Biologist. It's a game of component clairvoyance. Biologist says, I can actually imagine a game for game devs where there's a bag of mystery components. Oh, I like that, yeah. So you're channeling the history of random items. I actually really like that. It's actually, that was another one of the prototypes, previous prototypes that I came across. Subconscious Suitcase. Sometimes I wonder if my true strength of game design is just in naming things and having a gut feeling that goes along with that. All the other pieces that go into putting that together can be a little tricky, but Subconscious Suitcase, this born out of dreams. And I don't know about you all, but I have a lot of packing dreams. Or not so many lately, but in the past I've had periods of packing. You know, you're going on a trip, you're trying to get all your stuff, it's taking too long, things aren't in the right place. One of these stress dreams. So this idea of subconscious suitcase is partially based on that, and then partially, just the things that are in your head and the hidden meanings to them. KB Rumson, like story cubes with random items. Yeah. Do you keep emotional baggage in your subconscious suitcase? Dang, that's deep. Yeah, probably. I've been exploring, I've been thinking about the meanings of dreams lately. And stress dreams in particular. It's one of those frustrating things, right? Like trying to get to relax before going to bed, trying to get into bed on time, all these things that you got to build up, and then you finally get to sleep and start having stress dreams. You're like, brain, why are you doing this to me? Like, I'm working so hard to help you relax. Mocha is good. Coffee is good. Senior Bob, I like how you just keep getting new icons. Is this a bits one? Bits leader? Nice. I've had dreams of having to pack for moving, and there's always more crap to pack up in another room. I know, right? It's one of the like rooms you didn't even know were in your house. New rooms in your houses, new stuff. And that's the weird thing about dreams too. That's so stressful. It's like your dream is gaslighting you, right? You go into the room, you're like, I got everything here, and then you go back out the door, and then you go back in, and all this. There's like a bunch more stuff that you're like, I know, I cleaned everything out of this room. Like your brain can literally do that. So you did clean everything out of this room, and then I put more stuff in there because you're welcome. I don't know. Also have dreams of going back to school, but I get chronic procrastination. I know, right? I get that all the time. I don't know what that is about. I had the weirdest dream the other day where I going back to school, but I needed lunch. Instead of making like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I went to a grocery store and I was having a lot of indecision over this like meats and cheeses spread where I was looking at different cheeses to pair with some crackers. And they were like, oh my gosh, I'm late for school. What am I even doing here, brain? Why you do this? Brains are weird. That's the thesis of the stream today. Brains are weird. Cool. So I've been thinking a little bit more about the stream and exactly what I want to do, what people are enjoying about it. I think I like this part. We kind of go back and forth, talk about some stuff that's just going on in life, dig into just random thoughts and ideas like this while talking about prototypes, kind of going back and forth. I think we can learn a lot about game design, about different ideas for games, just based on a lot of the stuff that happens in our daily lives. So want to chat about that kind of stuff a little bit. Mostly just also helps me to unwind and get more into a brain space for thinking creatively. So all this stuff just rattling around in my head. So being able to chat it out is definitely helpful. Hope not too boring. Then want to go back and do another pass on Project H. Used to be Heart Catchers. Keep having great playtest sessions. Playtested a couple more times last week. I think we're getting really close with it now, at least to a pitchable session. Get some feedback on it. Pitchable shape. An interesting thing now I'm realizing is I have an option to choose a direction for the theme. So that's going to be, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. If I'm going to keep the romance theme, I've got some ideas about that. Maybe we can play around. Game Bell just says, only dreams that stay with me are in my dream house. Yeah. Yeah. That's weird. Like, this is another reason I love chatting about dreams, because all this weird stuff that's so bizarre, I think, like, nobody else can ever have that experience. But Game Biology sounds very similar to dreams that I have, where you're, like, kind of trapped in a dark staircase, and you crawl into a crevice, and you're in this crawl space that's too small for you, but somehow you're in there, and it keeps getting smaller and smaller, and then you're in a weird room. Yeah, totally know that feel. Alright. do a swap over here. Hop into Photoshop. Let's play around with some card design. I'm gonna do some card design for a little bit and then come back to brainstorming and ideating on some of these things that we've been chatting about. I think with the dreams and some of these prototypes and stuff, I might have some fun ideating, coming up with some game design ideas. Yeah. I like to spend at least just a little time working on Project H and making updates for my playtest I'm going to do later today. So talk a little bit about the design process of this. I'm going to go over the evolution a little bit. So this is the art for Heartcatchers. It's a game that I had published a couple of years ago. I got the rights back to the game, so tweaking it. Still think it's a super fun game, but I had a feeling there was some changes I could make to make it easier to understand, more approachable, more interesting strategically with my learnings. My thesis being that I've gotten better at game design over the past few years. Yeah. Since I'm pitching this again, it's unlikely the art is going to stay, but I just, I'm like, oh, this art, I just like it. I don't want to let go of it, but eventually decided to, it's something, I tell people all the time for prototyping, when I see an early stage prototype, well, back up for a second. One question that I love to ask when I'm playtesting games is, what stage of development is this game in? Or a little easier question to answer than that is, what percentage done would you say this game is? And the reason that I ask that is because I give very different feedback to a game if it's 10% done than if it's 90% done. So 10% is the first or second time you're testing a prototype, everything is up in the air, you're really just trying to get a feel for what in there you want to have stick. And then there's a lot of space for very broad stroke feedback, changes to the game, suggestions for a game, like, oh, what if all the numbers were letters, or what if all the shapes were squares? Just really big fundamental changes to a game. Whereas if it's 90% done, likely, if the designer is being honest about how many iterations they've done, and they've really solidified their vision over a number of playtests, then they know the direction that they want it to go in. They're making some final tweaks. So you'll know better than to spend, even if you have strong opinions, it's not really worth getting into, like, oh, this whole economy is wrong. I have suggestions for how to improve that. So, since I am going back to the drawing board with this, it was really important to the development, even though I say have art that works with the game. I think some designers kind of get caught up with that or just excited about getting good art. Some designers commission art for their games early in the process, which definitely something I recommend against. Potentially, if you're going the self-publishing route at a certain point, you will have to get art. But if you are pitching to publishers, you really don't want to spend a lot of money on art unless it's for some stock images. Getting a little, sprucing it up a little bit can be good, but you don't want it, especially in the early stages, to have a very polished art look, because people, even designers, will treat a game with a very polished art differently, and they'll give different feedback if it looks like it's almost done. They won't dig as much into things that you might really want feedback on. You might playtesters might say things along the line of, oh, it seems good, it seems fine. Whereas if they're seeing those exact same mechanics in a much more stripped down form, the art doesn't take their attention. They feel like it's an earlier stage game and that there is more freedom to change things. So evolution, strip down the art. It's advice that I give to people and just had to learn to take it for myself. The next thing, I had a rock, paper, scissors mechanic to these cards. So blue catches red, green catches blue, red catches green. So I was kind of obsessed in the beginning of development that certain cards would go on certain cards. And I wanted it to be rock, paper, scissors because, yes, because it's clever, I think. It's one of these, like, clever go. Things just like, oh, it's so clever, like, once you get it, you're like, oh, it's like rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors is very difficult to capture and encapsulate without actually being rock, paper, scissors. It's just something I've learned over and over again through this process. So, in this newest iteration, I changed it to numbers. It was a little easier for people to get. Bigger number goes on top of a smaller number. And then I also originally only had secret powers. So some of the cards did nothing, and some of the cards did things secret when they were played face down under stacks. So my next development was to make some stack powers, and then some secret, some face up and face down powers. And for the latest version, oh shoot, why is the opacity of all these turned down? Weird. Was it powers? Oh. I must have like scrolled or something. I'm like, why is the opacity? That's super weird. Okay. Yeah, so some face up and face down powers. Oh, I got rid of the numbers. Yeah, so latest version, like, just put any card on any card. And again, one of those things that I just held on to for so long. It's like, but if you can put any card on any card, like, there's such a huge decision space. Like, it's chaos. No direction whatsoever. But it turned out that, just having the fact some are secrets and some are face up already encourages you to play cards in a certain way. And so few cards anyways, giving a little bit more option and control meant that people could play more interestingly. Senior Rob says there's the moment you think you're 90% done, but decide to rework it and go back to alpha testing. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing here. Taking it almost back to the drawing board. I guess not quite to alpha. Maybe to beta. Alpha-ish. Alpha 2.0. Version 2.0. Yeah, and that's especially if you did take something to 90% and had you'd done some work on the graphic design, made it look fancy, and you do bring it back. I think that's a great example of a time when pulling out the art and re-simplifying it to indicate to people that it is in an alpha stage is very valuable. Yeah. Everything that Game Biologist is saying here is so super spot on for artist designers in particular, because people come to design from many directions. I know a lot of people from a math perspective or from an engineering perspective. That's kind of more the direction I came to it, but other people come to it from an art perspective. So they have, bless their hearts, just amazingly talented artists who can make their prototypes and even potential finished game designs look so good. It makes me very jealous for just their ability to communicate in pictures and visually. I don't want to say I wish I was an artist. I say one of my goals in the future is to spend more time practicing my artistic ability so that I can hone that. But yeah, this is exactly an example about not just the level of feedback that people will give you if you have a very polished design, but also how resistant they are. If you've done a lot of work on something, especially the physical art of a card, it can be hard to step back and say, oh, I'm going to take everything back to the drawing board. I'm going to start from scratch again, because you've made the cards look nice. If you do that early on, it can be hard to make changes. Like, well, if I have to make changes and I have to change all the art, there's more that goes into making those changes. So keeping it simpler for as long as possible, psychologically for yourself as well, can help you be more open to changes. Yeah, difficult to walk away when you put a ton of time into a prototype. MVP, quick and dirty. Absolutely. Simple and ugly. I love it. My graphic designer is super busy, so I don't want to waste her time making art and layouts. Hey, it's just like the Cats movie, right? I was reading a little bit about that and all the issues with development, and part of it was the fact that, I forget who it was in the process, but one of the head honchos just didn't want to see the interim animations, wanted to see it all the way done every time. So the animators were just taking way too much time to make it look polished and then having to go back to the drawing board. Definitely not good. Sometimes my prototypes are so ugly it's hard to interest non-designers in my games though. But you have balloons. Oh, I want to see your game art. Ah! Oh, those acorns. I love it. That is another consideration for non-designers. For a general audience, very much so, this would be a little bit of a tough sell. But that's you... Ideally, but in an ideal world, you won't be showing your game to non-designers who aren't close to you in some capacity, unless it's more like 70 to 90% done. So like this sort of a prototype, this is something that I'm like showing to publishers, showing to other designers, play testing, showing it to my friends who kind of get this stage of play testing. When you are showing to a more general audience, having a nice look to it can help to. Not always. I mean, I think they can be, if you're trying to attract people off the street, or you need something to hook them, it can be a little tough. Having some cool art can definitely help to suck them in. But if they're at all a captive audience, if they're at a proto spiel or something, or if they're at an unpub, even a more general audience will kind of get a sense of like, oh, this is what games look like early on. So kind of double pronged there, like both. What are the goals, I would say, of the prototype you're showing? Who is the audience that you're showing it to? Even outside of just being a product, right? The target audience is other game designers. So that would be different than the target audience is at a convention where I'm trying to get signups for my Kickstarter. Yes, then you definitely need more designer art for it. If you figure out a way to get those 3D printed hot air balloons in your game, you'll always be able to get playtesters. Yeah, absolutely. I would be in for that. Cool. So I'm gonna go to my notes, try to figure out where I was here. Oh, here's also an interesting math thing, design-wise. Math and game complexity. I'm gonna make a note. All the notes of the stuff we're talking about. So there was an interesting suggestion for the math of these cards. Again, this math is so simple here. 1 point for every face-up card. So that was another change. We had been doing points for the numbers on the cards when they had numbers, and that just got crazy out of hand. 1 card for every face-up, 1 point for every face-up card, and then we got some +3s and -3s here. We had tried it with -2 and +3 because one of the things about the game is Heartbreaker and an Ultimate Love. If you get those, they cancel each other out. So it does reduce the drama a little bit because it's like, oh, you got both these, they all cancel out. It can potentially feel like you didn't accomplish anything, but what I realized for this level of complexity of a game was that having to keep that, call it a floating one, because all your face-up cards 1 point. If you get to the end of it and you see a squirrel, and you're distracted like me, and you're like, oh shoot, where was I in my math for trying to figure out my score? Count every face-up card. Like, you just do that. If you have 2 zones, you have your modifier score zone, and then your individual cards, which are almost a currency at that point, right? All these are 1 points. These are all my point scoring tokens. 18 card game, multi-use cards can be very useful. And then you have a heart catcher, or you have an ultimate love and a heartbreaker. Doing the math for both of those cards, like, you add them together, like, you have a floating 1. Like, the 1 isn't anywhere, isn't on a card. It's just in your brain is the only place where this 1 is stored. As opposed to, if you have 2 heartbreakers, it's a little tricky, but it's all on the cards, right? +3, that's a 6. I have 4 face-up cards, that's a 10. So it was a very interesting discovery to have this kind of floating math unit for this game specifically. So I changed it back to +3 and -3. And yeah, you will have the cards cancel out, which, there's trade-offs, pros and cons, but at the end of the day, I figure it was simpler. It was a simplification to keep it that way. Alright, so I'd written down for my play tests some of the powers that were fun and interesting, and things that I wanted to keep and change. Another interesting thing about this game, again, being a super simple game where there probably won't be able to be player aids, is memorized actions versus on-card actions. How much does the text on each individual card tell you how the game should be played, as opposed to things you just have to remember? Like in a trick-taking game, you just have cards, you have to remember what all the different the suits mean, leading suits, all this terminology you just have to keep in your head. So for Project H, one of the core actions of the game is you can put a face-up card on any of your piles or your opponent's piles. If you put it on your opponent's piles, you could take one of their piles and swap it with one of your own. So that was a core action, not something that was described on any of the cards. And that's a rule break, right? The base rule, the standard rule is put a card face up on another pile. Yeah, take a card, put it face up. Pretty straightforward. Or I put it face down. Two options for stuff I can do with my cards. And the caveat there is like, well, if you put on your opponent's side, then you have this weird interaction and people get confused. Like, is it the stack directly across from it? It's like, well, no, you can switch it with any stack. So all of a sudden, we have the 2 options. I can put it face down, or see, face down here, here, here. So that's 3 options, or face up here, here, here on any of my piles. Face up on any of their piles, 6 options, face down under any of the piles. For this one card, 6 potential places that I could put it. All of a sudden, multiplying that times all the swaps that you can do becomes more complex. So I tested without the swaps. And that was pretty good. So I think I'm just going to take that swap core base action and turn it into an on-card action. Just to try it again. Everything, all these innovations and changes to the rules. My core design philosophy for this project in particular is like making simpler, cut, simplification while maintaining interesting choices and strategy. Anywhere where the rules explanation, anywhere where someone does a thing and has to ask me a question, or they follow their instincts and they end up doing the wrong thing, trying to get rid of as many of those places as possible. Chipmunk! Where? Yeah, so looking at, I also had some feedback about which of the powers were more interesting and less interesting. So upheaval, swap secrets, and stack. Let me switch over here. I'm going to fire up Tabletop Simulator because it's a lot easier to explain this when also able to show off the cards. So you have your stack is the face-up cards, your secrets are the face-down cards, and you switch those, right? The secrets become the stack and the stack becomes the secret. Very interesting power because you could have, like, if you stack up 2 ultimate loves on your opponent's side, it's this very interesting thing of, okay, very easily they could take those and swap them. So all of a sudden it's like a plus 6 points spread there, and you kind of have to keep a lookout for those, which is interesting. So that was definitely very positive. Upheaval. Combine 2 stacks on your side. I had intended for this power to be you put it on a stack and then suck another stack underneath it, but it was interpreted as combine any 2 stacks, which is probably a little too powerful. Get close and letdown were a little bit iffy. Because combining 2 stacks with the option your opponent can just steal a stack. Like you suck them into a big stack and your opponent just easily steals it. Could be a little tricky, but with this new change that you can only take a stack with a new card power, that could potentially be okay. Let down, peek at 1 secret under the stack. It's interesting because in order to look at the secret under the stack, you have to put a card on it, you have to put a point on it. In this world where you can, instead of being able to put a card on any of the piles, you can only put on your own, that one can be a little bit tough. Alright, for this one, combine 2 stacks on your side. So this is the simple version. You have a bunch of piles on your side, you put this card on it, and okay, now I can combine any of these. It's a little easier to read and interpret that as a rule. I think, almost made a mistake there. Alright. Version control, yes. Duplicate group. Secrets and stack 3. Alright. I'm getting bad at this. I want to keep making new versions so I can go back if needed. Okay. Place this stack top of another stack on your side. Keep secrets under the stack. Does that make sense? Stack on top of another stack on your side, keep secrets under the stack. I'll try it. All the secret powers are good. They're the original ones. Heartbreaker, Ultimate Love, Change of Heart, the swapping is good. Flip-flop, swap this stack with any stack on your side. I think flip-flop could just become the crossing power. Because moving the stacks on your side, the combining kind of does that. So, I mean, you can just call it flip-flop, which is cool. Swap this stack with any stack on your side. And the question is, do we want it to only go straight across? I think so, because you can put it on any stack. Probably simpler to keep it that way for this point. Swap this stack with this stack directly across from it. Which is interesting, because you put a point on there, so it's kind of the reverse. No, I think, yeah, what I'd wanted to do. Interesting, there's two choices there. Which rule, how are we going to break the rules that we've already established? If you put the card face up on your side of the board, that's the core action right now. Simplified it down to that. But this could break the core action, like play on your opponent's side and then pull it across. So you're not sacrificing, every face-up card is a point, so you're not sacrificing that point. I'm trying to word this. Play on an opponent's stack. We only have one opponent. Play on one of your opponent's stacks. Swap that stack with the one across from it. There's a lot of text. Kind of unclear. What do you say? Play on opponent's stack. Swap that stack with the one across from it. Swap with, man, wording a card is so tricky. Your stack. With one of your stacks. Play on opponent's stack. Swap with one of your stacks. Yeah. Maybe that's clear enough. How about on a break card? Don't know what the power would be. I like that. Upheaval, get close. On a break. Oh yeah, that's a good question. Maybe a promo card. I'll have to think about that. Heartbreaker. Again with the theme. I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but the theme might also be changing. I don't know if the romance theme works as well for this version of the game. Unless we had talked about an idea last week or the week before where your goal is to give your opponent as many points as possible. So I still want to test that version and see how that works. Play on opponent's stack. Swap with one of your stacks. I think that works. That should be good enough for testing. Alright, so we're going to have 3 of these, and that will be our only swapping power. Huh. I'm like, why aren't you lining up? Cool. Right. Paste. Perfect. Cool. Right. Secrets are good. Have the new flip-flop power. Upheaval is good. Get close is a little weird, but maybe fine. I think letdown is the only one. Get close. Just seems kind of risky and not necessarily in a fun way. Sorry, Senior Bob. I'm still thinking about your on a break power and how I might incorporate that. Yeah, let's take a look at it over here in Tabletop Simulator. Load the latest version. I feel like I need to change the lighting here. It's a little... The cars look a little yellow in this lighting. And just set up the field real quick. Three on my side, 3 on their side. Okay. So say we're in the middle of the game, have a few cards out here. Just played kind of whatever. Flip. So I could put this get close here, then combine any 2 stacks on my side. You just drag this whole thing over here. And now it's super easy for them because you can still put secrets under any of the piles. So you could just get a change of heart in here or the new flip-flop power and swap these. Like, what is the benefit of me combining my stacks? That's a good question. That's a good design. Whenever you're making powers are interesting, right? It's like with Abandoned Artichokes. You make a game, then you do all these abilities that break the core stuff of the game. Right? Like you have a card, like all of your cards are just in your deck forever. You keep shuffling through them. They don't go anywhere. And now you have a compost power, and that lets you get stuff out of your deck. So all these things breaking the core rules of the game. But a good question to ask is, why? Why am I breaking that? So like, why would I want to combine stacks on my side? Like I want to combine on my opponent's side, right? Because, you know, if these get combined over here, then I can just put this change of heart over here, and all of a sudden they're getting 0 cards and I'm getting a bunch. Okay, let's put get close on hold for now. I wanted to try a Chopsticks Sushi Go power. It's basically like, I'm going to call this the on a break. Stack power, pick up a the top card of any stack or any stack on your side. On your side. So you're not directly taking someone's points. Play 2 cards. Ignoring stack effects. Okay. Not sure if that makes sense. TMP Robinson says you want to combine your piles to move away from a card you guess your opponent played to thwart the stack. Yeah, that's a good point. If someone did play a secret under there and I had... yeah, like it was this pile over here. And like, oh, they might have played a change of heart under here. I'm going to combine these stacks to get away from that. It feels like there's no other protection, like moving it out of the way is kind of interesting, but it just becomes, like once you've combined, you're usually, it's going to be at least 3 cards, right? Yeah, because there's 2 cards. All of a sudden the stack becomes 3 cards, and 3 points is a big thing in this game. So it becomes just such a juicy target, and there's so many ways to mess around with that. One thing we talked about is get close. It could combine and also be a protection. So combine the stacks, and then nobody can play anything on top of or underneath it. I was just thinking lockdown is a power. Or, ooh, put a ring on it. The theme is just so bizarre. I love it. Put a ring on it. You can't put any secrets under or on top. Ooh. I love zooming in on this, the little like hover. When you make this a stack, it's like hovering. Tabletop Simulator is weird sometimes. The nice thing about this, I can also play around with numbers. There's a lot of things that have 2 or 3 versions of the cards, and I can have fewer of certain things. That might not be bad. If I did some single, and the nice thing too is for testing, like I'll just have a few powers to compare them and see which ones people are more interested in. Pick up the top card of any stack on your side, play 2 cards, ignoring stack effects. That makes sense. So for testing, maybe if there's just 1 get close card, that's not so bad. Place this stack on top of another stack on your side, keep secrets under the stack. Sure. Put a ring on it. This will be a passive effect, which is interesting. Which is another thing. If you play a lot of card games, you just get used to friend zone. I like that too. If you play a lot of card games, you know, active effects, passive effects, they kind of all blur together, but it's something that can be tricky for newer players to grasp is, oh, I just have to be aware of this all the time. But in this game, it might be simple enough for it to be okay. It's worth testing. No cards can be played on or under this stack. So that's like the uncatchable that I used to have. Extra space there, yeah. No cards can be played on or under this stack. I think that makes sense. Then we talked about a last player advantage. Interesting. I need to write a rules doc for this. I remember just keeping it on my head. It's a very bad process. So some ideas. Some people have worried about last player advantage because you can take a Heartbreaker and Ultimate Love and just put on your side where you know there's no change of hearts. So that's just a +3, or under their size, a +3 or -3 swing right at the end of the game, which I think is fair. We had talked about removing secrets, like, oh, that doesn't sound super fun. I just had an idea, though, if you just can't play a secret the last card of the game. That might be the simplest way to deal with those potential issues. Last card played in game can't be a secret. So every secret can be responded to, basically. I think that might be good. Good enough for that. Came out of friend zone is sort of a creepy concept. It smacks a bit of entitlement to other people's actions and emotions. Only ever used derogatorily about women who don't have sex with guys they think of as their friends. Is completely valid, game biologist. I laugh at the concept. One of those built-in reactions of like, I've seen this thing before and it's funny, without taking the time as I should to think about it and realize some things that were funny in the past or people make jokes about in the past, we now understand are not necessarily a joking matter. I've definitely had the calling out of friend zoning with people before. It's like, but I'm just actually trying to be your friend, really, truthfully. TP Promises likes no secret on the last play idea. Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you had a great time. Romance theme can be tricky that way. Yeah, it's tough. I think it's a little easier in a role-playing game where you can use safety tools. That's another reason. I mean, even a lot of stuff, like put a ring on it. There's a lot of things that can be taken in different ways, and a lot of things that, on a break, that have connotations that aren't great. So, there's a good chance that the romance theme will change. I just haven't really... It's one of those things, too, where, like, do I want to just pitch a game that doesn't have much of a theme? Because the mechanics of it are pretty solid, and it's a game I made where theme doesn't super matter, but the question is, if I thought about the theme a little bit and play tested the theme a little bit, would I come up with something that enhances the game? Which I think, yeah. Most of the time, I think a lot of people will say, like, oh, theme doesn't matter for this particular game. Some games it matters, some games it doesn't. I think pretty much every game can be enhanced with taking a theme. It might be a very light theme, but having some subtle things in there. Like, for this, you're stacking things in piles. So, that could be... I keep thinking of that old school children's book with the people wearing all the hats. I forget what that book is, or it could be stacking pancakes. Like, there's making buildings. Like, there's different things that you can put together, stack on top of each other. I might be able to actually do a theme brainstorm. That could be fun. Senior Bob, I think theme is good for grounding an otherwise abstract game. Perfect. I'm going to copy that. You put it, chef's kiss. Mwah. I love the way that you worded that. Grounding. Just some things where, in a more abstract game, I was like, why you do certain actions? Why am I putting this? Why am I tucking this under here? You can explain them mechanically, and that will get most of the people. But if a little bit of theme in there can help an extra 10% of the people, it's like, oh, you're putting this under here because it's a lizard hiding underneath a rock. And every time they do that, they'll think about that, and it will help them to connect with the mechanics. Yeah. Gameologist, very good point about consent. Friend zone assumes that one party shouldn't have agency. Yeah, a lot of less than ideal relationship behavior that respects both parties' agency. Cool, I think that we're good here. I'm not going to say the game is done. Never say that again, because I've said that too many times. It hasn't been true. It's been a lie. But we have our flip-flops. We changed a core mechanic into an on-card, a core action into an on-card action. People's great. I almost want to put another one in there, but it is a pretty big action, so maybe not overload it. Let down we're going to keep. It's borderline, but try it for now. Only one of them. Maybe that's okay. Get close. Also borderline, but maybe with one it's okay. And then on a break and put a ring on it are two new powers. And save it up. Oh, I'm too fast. Save it. Card front 2. Card front 3. Secret stack 3. My naming conventions are not great. I always try and make them better, and then I'm like, that's probably fine. And I love here in Tabletop Simulator, I'm just doing every old version of the game just comes over here with the little pink player pawn on it. I don't know, you just get into these weird habits. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I started it and now I shall finish it. Right, it's a PNG. Going over this again in case anyone missed getting stuff into Tabletop Simulator. If anyone has any questions, let me know. It's not unique backs. I think that was our card back file. We're gonna find out. Cloud, upload. 4 wide, 5 tall. Yep, that's correct. There's 18 cards total, and the backs are hidden. That was incorrect. So close. Oh, yes to unique backs. That's what we messed up. Cloud is important because that lets other people be able to use it and interact with it. There we go, it's better. Hidden lizards, yes. Oh my gosh, is this Spot the Lizard game? I like it. I like the lizard hiding in a rock idea. What if some lizards don't get along? Sounds like we have a game idea brewing here. Perfect idea for a game. Lizards are hiding and fighting. Alright. Shuffle up our deck. Flip it over. Let's just make sure everything looks good. Let down. Ultimate Loves. Play on opponent's stack, swap with one of your stacks. Cool. Close, place on top of another stack on your side. Looks like all of our updates are here. These are the same. Pick up the top card of any stack on your side. I guess this one gets interesting. If we are doing the combining, the secret could be, there could just be a secret floating there, but how explain that as clarification. Secrets and stack are two different zones. our upheavals, those are the same. Flip flop. And another heartbreaker. Cool. Perfect. We did it. Games, save. Art catchers, create, save. Perfect. Alright, it's a game. I'm not going to try and play it out right now. I'll take it back. I think I'll do a quick round. Probably not to completion. Hopefully this is all showing up okay on everyone's screen. I like it. I figure maybe some people haven't used Tabletop Simulator too much, so this is a great opportunity. If you have any questions or any questions about the game in general, I'm not going to spend too long on the testing because I did still want to get some brainstorming in today. Alright. Oh, and this is the fun part because I get to do the press 3, draw 3 cards. Change color. I get to play against myself, which is super weird. Try not to remember. Cool. Captain Calabos, I just joined. How is the combined 2 stacks working out? Good. It was on the borderline. I was thinking about cutting it. But I'm keeping it. I've reduced it down to 1 card in the deck, and I changed a couple of the other powers, so I'm going to see how it plays out with the other powers. Let me see. The 1 powers 2 is interesting, because if it's dealt out onto the field, that will definitely change the game, but flip-flop. Cool. I'm just going to play an Ultimate Love on my side, because I am an honest player. Change color. Go over here. Okay. So yeah, so I have that get close power. We're going to see how that plays out. What do I think? Do I think Nega Emma played a good card or a bad card under there? Nega Emma has a smirk on her face, so I'm going to bluff and put this Ultimate Love under here and pretend it's a bad thing. Draw a card. What do we got here? Put a ring on it. No cards can be played on or under the stack. Okay, so that's a good one for my Ultimate Love here. This secret is annoying me. Ooh. I can also swap these ones. Kind of want to save a flip-flop. No cards can be played on or under this stack. You can still do a change of heart. We're seeing a lot of change of hearts out here, so I think I'm going to play it safe. And oh, this is cool, thinking about the different combinations. Because I have the upheaval, so I could make that change of heart become a secret. So that's really cool to think about. But for now, I'm just going to use the flip-flop power on this one and swap these. Draw my card. Nega Emma. I miss Darkwing Duck, I know, right? Alright, get close. So I have my combining here. I know that I played an Ultimate Love here. Suspicious stuff over here. Oh, and I have a change of heart. Okay. So we're not seeing a lot of heartbreakers. So I'm gonna pretend like I'm just putting a bunch of heartbreakers under here. But that's a change of heart, so we'll come back over to my side. So I'm happy with that play. And now I see that I'm assuming as Nega Emma that there are a bunch of bad things under here, so I want to play my upheaval here. I also want to put my ring, put a ring on it here to try and lock that down. Ooh, and I have a Heartbreaker. Yeah. I'm gonna do the Heartbreaker here. Oops. I'm still green. I gotta draw my last card. Alright. Playing games against myself on Tabletop Simulator. Didn't think that was a thing that I would be doing. And yet here we are. Alright. I think Nega Emma, actually, my money is on Nega Emma because Nega Emma is making some good plays here. Regular Emma, not as strategic of a player. Does Nega Emma ever go to cons? I want to now. Now that you say that, that would be so cool to have. What would Nega Emma be? I'd have to dye my hair black. I wear a fair amount of black. I wear like colors and black. So dye my hair black, wear like, what do I even wear? Jean jackets or something. Like, what do I just never wear? I don't know. Sometimes I wear t-shirts. I'm trying to move into like more cool fashion stuff. So maybe Nega Emma is like going back to... Actually, no, I wouldn't dye my hair. Nega Emma would just be Emma from 10 years ago. So undyed hair, long hair, wearing t-shirts and baggy jeans, and just kind of slouching and hiding in a corner. That's Nega Emma. Brad B7, I just tuned back into this too. Hello. Also Miss Darkwing Duck. I know, right? Should do maybe Twitch watch party. Maybe they got Darkwing Duck in here. Black nail polish. Has Nega Emma got an electric blue wig and a white leather jacket? I mean, I want that to be regular Emma. I want a white leather jacket. Leather coat and a goatee? Yes. Oh man, I wish. I need to get like a fake beard. All these people are growing out their quarantine beards. Phil has an amazing luscious beard. This is something I will never have. Anyways, what is what's the opposite of Nega Emma? What is true Emma doing here? Losing, probably. Alright. So I'm looking at that, and I'm like, that's probably something bad. I'm gonna peek at it. Let's do it. So Alt-Shift to peek. It is a Heartbreaker. I knew it. Nega Emma, Evil Emma. I see what you're doing over there. Alright, Nega Emma's got all sorts of plays here. This is going to be great. Oh, I got another Heartbreaker? Perfect. Alright, so that Heartbreaker has been scoped. I'm worried about... No, there's only 2 upheavals, and I see both of them. So I'm just going to put a Heartbreaker under here, knowing that I can't do secrets for my last turn. So I gotta keep that in mind. Nega Emma is first player, actually, so that's interesting. Right. Okay, so I can steal some stuff here. Ooh, maybe this is a chance for me to thwart Nega Emma's plans. I'm gonna wait and see what she does. This one just has a bunch of stuff in it. So I'm gonna swap my 1-pointer for a 3-pointer. Yeah, get inside Nega Emma's head. Alright, what's Nega Emma? Okay, I've got 2 options, but they're gonna be last player, so I don't want them to be able to mess me up. Shoot, I forgot what this secret was. When did that secret get in there? I totally forgot. I'm like, I don't even know how that happened. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and put a ring on it over here. But I forgot what that is. I hope it's not a change of heart. Something has gone terribly wrong over here. so I can steal another thing. Oh man, if I knew. Alright, so this one I'd put an ultimate love and a change of heart. So I'm like, okay, these are going to go back to my side. I'm not worried about that. This one, Nega Emma put on their side. What do I want here? Could just be a change of heart. Oh, I want to combine this. All right. So in my head, I think this whole stack is coming over here. So, yeah, I totally forgot what that secret is. I'm just going to combine this. Because then this pile is going to come to me, and they're not going to swap with a huge thing. So I'm happy with that. Yeah, this is funner than I thought it was going to be. This is great. All right, Nega Emma, last card. Swap secrets and stack. I know that this is Ultimate Love. Remember that, so I'm not worried about that. This had a bunch of stuff put under it by True Emma, so I'm gonna put, and I know there's Ultimate Love, so I'm gonna change this into a secret. So, can I get both those? Yeah. All right, so this becomes secret. And this becomes the stack. What was under there? I see all your secrets exposed. Oh no, it was an ultimate love. Oh, but it was a change of heart. So that's okay. I lost an ultimate love, but you would have had that anyways, so that's fine. Try to trick me. That's all my cards. Gotta come over here for True Emma. Okay. Oh man, this gets super weird. Huh. Okay. So as written in the rules, this is a stack of 0 right now. So if I played this, I would be able to swap it with a stack of 0. I might have to rewrite that. Play on opponent's stack, swap with one of your stacks with at least one card. I think that's one tweak I want to do. It's a good thing I'm self-testing this here. One of your stacks that has a stack of yours, a stack on your side with one or more cards. Can I cut it down? Play on opponent's stack. Swap with your stack that's one or more cards. Does that make sense? Play on opponent's stack. Swap with your stack. So I think that makes sense. Cool. Yeah, there can be a stack of 0, but I don't want to have flip-flop, because that seems kind of mean if they have a 0. And kind of confusing too. That's a little weird. It's a little weird. Not sure how I feel about that. Okay. Anyways. So I can steal any of these. Here is where Nega Emma really gets screwed over, because I know that's a +3 points. Oh man. True Emma is going to actually probably take it all. Oh no. True Emma. With the power. Woof. Alright, but I do have to give a card. Shoot, where are all the secrets here? I think this was the one that Nega Emma gave. Oh man. Oh, I might have totally turned the tides there. Okay. Emma reinvents the solo game. I know, right? This is not great for a solo game. Cool. That went pretty well. There's a lot of different sized piles, which is good. Definitely what I'm looking for in this game. Now we reveal the secrets. Is this what I think it is? Yeah, Heartbreaker. Nega Emma was doing so well. And this was the one that was stole with the Ultimate Love of Peel. Just goes in the trash. So this is an Ultimate Love with the Heartbreaker. Oh wait, I gotta see what's over here. What was the secret? Oh, this is a Heartbreaker too. Huh, okay. I don't know when that got in there. Alright, so Heartbreaker and Ultimate Love. Everyone's secrets ended up canceling out. Oh, so it's gonna be close. This just comes to face up cards. True Emma, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5. 8 to 5. Whew, that was close. But Nega Emma in the end was able to, or not Nega Emma, True Emma was able to pull it off. Alright, cool. That moment when a layman sees designer brain with invisible alter egos and worries about signs of quarantine mental health. Nope, it's always this way. Yeah, for anyone who's just tuning in here. Yeah, this is not a crazy person. This is just how designers act. Cool, that was a good test. I made this flip-flop change. Play it on opponent's stack, swap with your stack. That's one or more cards. Stack on your side that's 1+ cards. I don't want to use the group greater than some. This is weird. Wording this is tough. Swap with a stack on your side. With 1 or more cards. Oh, it's just a little too big. Man, see, this is the interesting. Now it's really this get close that's making issues here. Maybe get close is just a problem. Like for me, I don't know if it's just having... I think there's definitely a mental thing. If you see, if someone tells you, oh, there's 3 stacks, this stack just has 0 cards in it. Like, that makes total sense to me. I don't know if it's from playing Magic or what, but like, yeah, sure, 0. There's, what you're saying is there's 3 regions that can have cards in them. This one just doesn't have any right now. But I could see that definitely being confusing to some people. So it's like, oh, well, there's no cards here. So yeah, get close. I like it though. I want to keep playing around with it. Also, can you play on an opponent's stack that is 0 cards? It's just such a weird edge case. Nice win. That Nega Emma was devious. I know, right? Get close is a problem. It's a very timely comment. That's great. Depends if a person views it mathematical or with an English perspective. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a mathematical perspective. That's definitely the way I wanted to put it. Darkwing Duck came out when I was finishing my BS degree. I wasn't quite the target audience. I just remember it was a Disney thing. Get close is a problem. I mean, you could say that you have to leave at least 1 card behind, or get close could be replaced with a power. It could be like a shell game thing. Yeah, maybe that's better. So we have Flip Flop, which swaps stacks across. What was the old version? And Flip Flop used to be flopping on your side. That's a tough choice. Mostly don't want to figure out how to word this. Like, play on opponent's stack, swap the stack, not an empty stack. now I should have kept this. I'm like, what was my actual wording here? What are we looking for? Get close. Ooh. Place this stack on top of another stack. No, flip-flop this. Play on opponent's stack. Swap with one of your stacks. Opponent's stack. Play on an opponent's stack. Swap with one of your stacks. They call this a switcheroo. It's kind of funny having code names for everything. Like, I'm just gonna make up silly names and not have to worry too much about them making sense. Alright, switcheroo. Alright. I think I'm gonna make an executive decision here. Which it is my game. All the decisions are executive decisions. But I'm gonna make it so that I'm gonna undo get close for now. And just have you rearrange on your side. Lateral. Slide. I gotta call it a slide. Side slide. Or sidestep. I call it sidestep. Maybe this becomes a dancing game. That could be interesting. I was working on a dancing game at one point. Project H themes. I need to start Trello for this. For now. Dancing. The secrets though. I don't know how that would work for dancing. Switcheroo, sidestep. Okay, so we have stack. Swap this stack with another stack on your side. Okay, I think that captures a little bit of the original feeling. So flip-flop, maybe order of operations, have some things here. Maybe there's a secret on this side. I'm not going to set up the whole field, but I'm worried about this secret. I want to preserve this thing, so so it was get close, and now it's going to be sidestep. Now I do this, and I'm just going to move this over here. I kind of like that. I like the chaos of combining the stacks, but it just seems like it has too many weird edge cases. Cool. I think that's everything fixed. Then we don't have to worry about switcheroo having a weird edge case. And then just sidestep on it. Cool. And other weird things for the get close. Cool. Save. So we're going to put this back into Tabletop Simulator so it's ready to go. And then do some brainstorming. I'm still going to call this the same thing since we just made a little tweak to that. I'm actually going to come and just get rid of this because I don't think there's anything in this version that we need to save. Okay, that's saved. Gonna make a deck. I like how it preserves the settings here. That's pretty handy. PNG. Got backs. PNG. I wish this would select automatically, but I think that's fine. All right. We didn't shuffle these. They should just be in order. I guess not. Ring on it. We're looking for... No, that's right. Swap this stack with another on your side, and we have switcheroo. Perfect. Alright, put this in the middle of the table. Save our game. Nope, don't load. Save as a new hard catchers. Alright, perfect. Love it. Still friends. A split where each player still ends up with something. I like it. That's a good power. I mean, it's also interesting because, again, if I feel if I keep the theme of having a romance, the theme of having a romance, I can talk, then I will want to do that version where you're trying to give your opponent the most points. Your goal is for your opponent to win. Ghosted. One player is allowed to leave the game without explanation and without losing if they can tell things are going poorly. I don't know if I want this for this game in particular, but that's probably one of the best powers I've ever seen. Joint account. Merge one of each player's piles into a joint pile they can both play to and both score. These are really good. You're a good power comer-upper with. Here's a stretch on of a theme idea. Play Cyrano de Bergerac. Oh, yeah. That's not that much of a stretch. Kind of leaning into this idea of helping out a friend. I like this idea for a theme where you're trying to help someone. Your goal is to be helpful. Games. Cool. I think it's saved. Cool. Let's come back to our notes and change up our scene here. Perfect. Well, thank you all for, hopefully you enjoyed that solo gaming of Project H, which is hidden information. It's a little tricky to solo play, but I think we got there. I think we got some good learnings there, and I think it was a really great demonstration of it's hard to get time to do everything. Often I'm putting together a prototype right before a design night and I just want to get it done and get it in front of people, but taking at least a couple of minutes to run through some of the actions, you can catch some of those little things that you don't need playtesters for. I think now more than ever it's important to be cognizant of people's time, and if you are testing something, make sure that you're as efficient as possible. You know, if I can move some cards around and be like, oh wait, this doesn't math out, or these two completely cancel each other out, and if I can do that without having to get another person involved, then the sooner the better. Cool. So now what do I want to do? We could brainstorm some more themes. I've got my notebook here if I want to do a little bit of mind mapping. Or we can talk about some of these game ideas that we were discussing earlier. We had some dreams, we had subconscious suitcase, the lizards hiding under a rock idea. Got all sorts of fun stuff. This isn't centering on my notebook. Alright. Did the butterfly game go anywhere from last week? That's a good question. Butterflication and butterflied. I said, where did we go with that? Oh, caterpillar camouflage. Oh, caterpillar hide and seek. Try to hide as many caterpillars as possible without getting caught found. Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's all coming back together. I think that we were just... Speed game where the tokens are with a leafy background and some tokens have a camouflage caterpillar on them. I'm thinking here. The best way to demonstrate this, I think, because we're playing around with some colors and stuff. So for a quick and dirty way to do a kind of a digital prototype of this, get layers, new layer, I think I just want to have a bunch of like circles. Duplicate layer. Duplicate layer. So these are going to be the leaves. They don't have to look like leaves because it doesn't matter yet. Purple. This is going to be very interesting digitally. Shoot, I'm going to change my scene. You're like, you can't see my circles. Look, I'm making pretty circles. This is great. Layer. So we're going to have a bunch of leaves that are circles. We talked about a couple of different versions. Real-time one, for example. That's probably enough of those. Huh. Yeah, this is going to be super different because I can match the colors so perfectly in here. So if I come back to this and say I want this red. Ooh. Now I like this. I have these perfect circle tokens. And get a new layer. Now we get this. So this is a board. I'm gonna lock this, and these are gonna be the tokens. Oh, this is so trolly. Haha, I found it. This is a Photoshop game in which you're hiding all these circles in here, and you have to scrub the screen in order to find this circle that you put there. Haha! And then you would flip it over and there would be an image on the other side. An image of a bug, or not a bug. Alright. Noun project, we're gonna get a caterpillar. These caterpillars are weird looking. Oh, that one's pretty good. We are gonna code name this Sneaky Caterpillars. Folder. Organize things. Game design. Sneaky Caterpillar. Right. Place this. Ah, it's huge! Ah! Tiny caterpillar. Yeah, so you get all these tokens. They would all be the same color, and some of them would have caterpillars on them, and some of them wouldn't. Spot it with a twist, yeah. Right, there was one version that was hiding the caterpillars, and another one that's the speed game. Just paste. Okay. Right, for the speed game, red tokens on a red leaf. Flip them over to reveal if it's a caterpillar or just part of the leaf. I like this. I like it as a proxy for looking closer, the flipping of the tokens. For looking closer. So it's not like looking under the leaf, you're just seeing parts of the leaf, and when you go in to investigate, you can flip a number of tokens. Maybe it's just a memory game, right? It's a memory game. You can push your luck to flip another tile. If it's not a caterpillar, you start over. Idea for the butterfly game. Butterflies drink from turtle caiman tears to get salt. Is that a real thing? Dang. It's beautiful. So pretty, going in the fridge. Hide and seek spot it game made only for colorblind folk. Ooh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty sweet. Can be a little tricky because I know there's different types of color blindness, but interesting. Cheap glasses, like 3D glasses to alter color. Yeah, I think there have been games. Decrypto uses that, not in the form of glasses, but a little red sheet for revealing some of the clues. Best caterpillars. Oh, those are sweet. The original 13 Ghosts movie had red over the scenes with ghosts and gave people red tinted glasses to see the ghosts. The glasses were also part of the story. That's awesome. Perfect excuse to pair with an AR app. Ooh, the back of the leaf is speckled as though maybe a caterpillar had been eating it. Turns out it's a QR code that the phone app can decode to tell you if it's a caterpillar or not, and then show it. I like that. So there's an option where you kind of just lay out the tiles. It's interesting with the digital. I want to... Main menu. I haven't really played around with many of the objects outside of the cards, so this will be interesting. Tiles. Circle. Interesting. So tiles, it looks like you have to do them individually. It does seem kind of tough. The decks of cards are great in Tabletop Simulator, but some of these are a little tricky. So if I did a bunch of tiles on top of cards, yeah, I have to play around with that a little bit. Okay. That's something I'll play around with, not to do it right now. Cool. Going back to the notes. Alright. So we're getting close to time here. That actually went pretty quickly. Hope that was enjoyable for everyone. Hope y'all learned a little bit there. Just from watching the truth about how a board game designer works. It's a lot of looking at phrases. It's a lot of English involved, at least for the kinds of cards that I tend to make, or for interpreting the rules. If I phrase this rule in this way, does that make any sense to anyone who isn't me? That's a big part of it. And then for me, making subtle changes, seeing how those changes interact, where I'm with this game especially, is a lot of kind of subtle tweaks to the cards. And did a little bit of ideation on this caterpillar idea, different versions. I think, man, I kind of want to try and get this in real quick, but it's going to take a little bit longer. I might have to save that for next week. That could be a fun thing to start from, because I think hopefully, if things go well with Project H, I might play around with some theme, but I might be done enough with it. It'd be fun to work on something a little bit different for a bit. Trying to, let me get my other camera up here real quick. I have all my things. I've moved all my things around so that I have easy access. Yeah. I'm gonna cut up my notebook here. Oh, this is what we're gonna do. Make it pink. We're gonna have a pink leaf over here. Yeah, that's showing up pretty well. And it would be interesting to see because the colors actually blend really well on Tabletop Simulator. So that's something I've been thinking about, is some things are very different on Tabletop Simulator. The ease with which you can make a hidden zone, just put a box over and be like, oh, no one can see this. It's something you can't easily do in physical. And just you can go God mode once you're playtesting a game with someone and look in everyone's hands, which is another really cool and handy thing that's very tricky to do in physical. So it'd be interesting to play around with and see, what kinds of games could be Tabletop Simulator digital only board games. Cutting a thing. This is what I've wanted to do, is cut and make things right in front of your very eyes, like a magician. Yeah. Oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Do another one. and then flip it over. It's still a little wet. Let it dry for a sec. And here we have coloring hour, where we take a big pink marker and draw on stuff. Cut it with scissors. Try not to get covered in ink. Which is very difficult. Very easy to just have pink fingers. I was thinking this could be tricky. It might be trickier too if these were actual tokens with some thickness to them, because the paper basically doesn't have a thickness. Yeah, I think you can see that fairly well on camera. I can turn this over so it's a little bit closer. I have my pink token there. Once I flip it in there, you can see it blends in pretty well. You'll always be able to see a little bit of it, but it's got a cool effect to it. So, you know, I got my little caterpillar here, little antenna, little caterpillar feet. It's pretty hard to see. Maybe I should work on the zoom for this webcam. Cool. Yeah, it's a little hard. I'm gonna hold this up so you can see my little thing. I can also make a bigger prototype. Yeah, there we go. See, there's a little caterpillar on the back of that. So you have your leaf and your creature tokens on it. Flip them over, nothing on the back of that one. That one actually has a caterpillar on it. You can definitely see, not quite so much, you can see it on the camera too, that they don't exactly blend in. It's a cool visual effect. It's not really a hidden thing. It could be something fun to play around with a little bit more. Cool. Yeah, gone for even longer than I was expecting to. This has been great. Had some brainstorming, made another quick physical prototype, so that was fun. Did some great work on Project H. Didn't do too much, just pure ideation. We do a lot of that for most of the shows, so I think that we have a good balance here. As always, if any of this has inspired you or made you think about new game design ideas, feel free to go out into the world, or I guess into your house right now. Probably not go out in the world, but go into your brain and take those ideas and run with them. Way too many ideas that we come up with on the show for me to design all of them. Usually when we do our brainstorms, 10 or more ideas in a day, and as you can see from me working on Heartcatchers / Project H, it can take a while. Even just tweaking, making some subtle tweaks to cards, all the play tests. It can take a little while for a game to go from idea to prototype to finished product. So I have tons and tons of things that I want to be working on. I don't have enough time for all of them. So if you do take any of these ideas, feel free to reach out, share them with me. I'm doing a lot of digital play testing now, so if you have any questions about those groups, you can hit me up. Our group, Seattle Tabletop Game Designers, is opened up to a broader audience now. So we have the link to our Discord in there. What started as NYC Playtest is now remote playtest with people all across the world. They're actually meeting right now and doing tests. They also meet on Saturdays all day, which is a little easier for people in different time zones. But yeah, it's a great way to test out some of the stuff that you're working on and see stuff that other people are working on as well. I'm here every Tuesday, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific time. You can follow the channel if you want to get notifications about that, or also subscribe. If you have Amazon Prime, it's a great way to get a free subscription, so that's super fun. If you have any questions or thoughts about the channel, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always looking for new ideas. If you have any questions about anything that's going on, suggestions for ways that I could do things in a different way, if things are lag at certain times, or you want to get more clarifications about certain phases of design, happy to help with that. You can also hit me up on Twitter, also at MLarkins. Share your designs or questions or thoughts there as well. That's going to be it for me today. I am going to be playtesting this later with the remote playtest group. I haven't gotten that set up for streaming yet, but it's something that I'm looking into trying and seeing if I can get that working. But for now, you have to join the group in order to test it. Other than that, I'll be back on Thursday streaming some Magic for fun. And I'll see you soon and hope you have a good rest of your day and week. Talk to you later. Bye.